Let's talk about that so people could jump on. Let's talk about everything.
Okay.
What is happening? Am I film? Am I
I'm
on
gonna make
here?
sure this is on.
If it's not on, it's on you.
It's already going? Oh, gotcha. That's only the
Oh, it looks like we're live.
connection.
We are
We are
live.
live physically, not emotionally. So,
All right.
two huge differences right there.
Okay, let me just take this right here. And I know I have an accent, and I don't know how this is going to come out, but I have on screen here my dear friend that I love, absolutely love you, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, right? How do you spell your last name?
It's just,
But it's my accent. It's okay.
We got to get
Yeah.
the hook to pull her off here.
But Dr. Lyon is an osteopathic physician who specializes in cognition, health, aging, and weight loss. So she has an amazing book that we're going to talk about on this live today that everybody needs this book because it is an absolute mind-blowing book that people have to learn how to stay strong. Is longevity forever strong? And can you tell us, please, what drove you to write this book? Oh my God. It is an amazing book, like I said, that everybody needs. And Mike has to start reading.
So here's the reality, right? Is that so I graduated my fellowship. I did a fellowship in nutritional sciences and geriatrics. And at the time I went right into clinical practice. And this was about the same time that social media started having its boom. And I could not believe the narratives that were coming out. It definitely wasn't going to make anyone stronger. And it was a whole bunch of BS after I just had spent 20 years studying this stuff. And I felt that if I didn't step up and do it, then I would be just as irresponsible as the people putting out bad information. And
Let's
so,
jump back for 1 second. I just
Yeah.
want my fans to really understand. First of all, this is the Mike O'Hearn Show right here on Generation Iron. And by next week, we're changing it to the Mona Mirison Show because she's incredible and a powerhouse. What I like is that I have, again, two powerhouse women on here right now. But I've known Dr. Gabrielle for quite decades. And I call you a forever student because you did go, I mean, and I love that. I love that. So your schooling, your background, your book intelligence is ridiculous. And I love the fact that you jumped on something that's amazing of the concept of which, I mean, it is clear that the people that don't do things and don't study and don't understand the full concept of this are the ones that have all the opinions.
that's true.
And the ones that do understand this kind of quiet down and just, well, that's not actually, correct information, but they're not out there going, this entire information that you're hearing. And I see this even with my friends that are at the pinnacle of the health and fitness world on their, it becomes a diehard religion to what they believe. This works for everybody and stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's tough to see, but I'm glad that you're in the trenches. You've studied, you've competed, you've built the body, and you're here beyond the individual, which for me personally, I love the person that studies, but also has the trenches and the fight in them that's done the health and fitness and looks the way you do at the young age that you are and still accomplishing everything you're doing. So go take us through this book and that I need to get my voice out there and help people.
Yeah. So this challenges. So this book, Forever Strong, with Simon and Schuster, just came out Tuesday. And by the way, it is in the running for New York Times bestseller.
Yeah.
It has been holding strong under the top 20 books. So right now it's number 10 on all of Amazon. It's number 1 in the categories of longevity and a handful of others. But for a first-time author to be in the running for a New York Times bestseller is a pretty big deal. But here is what is an even bigger deal. This message is so much bigger than me. This message is about shifting the paradigm of thinking. We talk about obesity, we talk about heart disease, we talk about Alzheimer's, we talk about all these diseases, diabetes, as if they're out there. They're diseases that begin in skeletal muscle decades before. If you have unhealthy skeletal muscle, this is the root cause. And traditional medicine, we failed it. Traditional medicine has been trying to fix the obesity epidemic for the last 50 years. And for the last 50 years, we've been getting fatter and worse. So if we just from a fundamental level, if we're asking the right question, we should be able to get a subsequent answer. We've been asking the wrong question. It's not about being over fat. It's about being under muscled. It's about muscle health, not obesity.
I love that you're doing this.
So
that's the book. Tomorrow you are on Good Morning America, correct?
Yep.
Okay, and you're doing this tour now, which I absolutely love. You're out there, and the people are not just seeing it, and it's not just in the ranks because it's a great book. It's in the ranks because everybody is absolutely loving this, and the facts that you're laying down is opening up people's minds, going, hey, you're missing the big ticket here. Can you jump into the book a little bit about some of the basic stuff that the people could start this journey of really living a longevity lifestyle?
Yeah, and I think that this is something that you guys have done really well. The core fundamental principle is obviously the conversation, understanding where we are and how we got here. So it does talk a little bit about the history of nutritional sciences, which is deeply convoluted. We very rarely have empirical conversations. We don't have conversations just about data. It's emotion, it's politics, and it really skews people's choices. And they don't even realize they're making an emotional choice. The book has I'm trained in nutritional sciences, so professionally trained in nutrition for 7 years. And I studied under one of the world leading experts in protein metabolism. So this book is heavily based on this concept of a protein-centered diet. Why? Because protein is the foundation of life. It is the foundation of our bodies. It creates the infrastructure, and Mike and Mona, we've talked about it. We talk about protein as if it's one thing. It's not. It's 20 different amino acids, 9 of which are essential. They are not interchangeable. The essential amino acids in animal-based products have very diverse biological roles. They all do more than one thing. And they are very important for overall muscle health, and same with the food matrix. So in essence, it teaches you how to build a nutrition plan, whether it's for longevity, whether it's for fat loss or body recomposition, and whether it's for hypertrophy. Very simple. It just outlines it in a fail-proof way, and it's all evidence-based.
I love that.
My question would be, how do you have all this time to do everything? I mean, you have 2 babies at home, and back to back, you had those babies, and you have time to literally write a book. It is insane. And I stalk your page, and you put up workouts, you put up meal plans, you put out everything on your social media. So if you don't follow Dr. Gabrielle, you're losing a lot, because just by following you, we could actually get so much information. So how do you have all this time, like as a mom, like what you have enough time to spend with the babies? Do you travel with them? Like, what is going on? You're all over the place.
Well, on a very fundamental level, if you want to know the truth, just between friends, I refuse to be outworked. I refuse to be outdisciplined, and I refuse to be outworked. And that is how I have lived my life. My time is very tight, and how I use it is very particular. But yeah, I'm very disciplined. And again, I refuse to be outworked.
You're precise. I love that. I love that. And I've known you for decades. And so it's one of those things that we're workhorses and we love this stuff. With that being said, I want to jump back to the book for a second, because you were talking about the protein breakdown. Does it also talk about how carbohydrates work, how fats work in the body?
It does.
Can you go into that just a little bit?
Yeah. So the book is actually very balanced. I am not against carbohydrates. I think carbohydrates are very important. I think they're very important for muscle glycogen and for energy, and they also have phytonutrients. And how I like to think about carbohydrates are, if you are training and you're burning through a lot of carbs, then it's great to get some simple carbs, whether it's fruits or even white rice, potatoes. But I will say, if you are not training, you have to earn your carbs. So if you, one of the recommendations in the book is how to keep your blood sugar balanced. If you are not training, then I don't recommend going over 50 grams of carbohydrates per meal, because you'll spike your insulin, you'll get a subsequent drop in blood sugar, and you're kind of chasing hunger all day long. But this book is not just about high protein. It's protein, carbohydrates, and fats. And depending on where you are, if you're training a lot, then I prefer you have more carbohydrates than fats. If you're not training, once you've identified where your protein is at, kind of the fats and carbohydrates are interchangeable, depending on what you're doing.
I love that, because the one thing I want everybody out there to hear is the beliefs that we have. We're just taking the science, and you're taking what really happens to the body, trying to remove personal opinion and going, this is what protein does, this is what carbs does, this is what fat does, and here's a great balanced way to do it. And I love that you've laid that out there, and also that you're doing it, just because I love what you've done with your own career and how you're helping people. But it's good for these people out there to really see something that for Mona and me that stand behind it, going, hey, if you really want to be serious about your nutrition and not believe the hype train, here's a good book for you to go get. Can they also get this book on audio?
Yeah. And I read my own audiobook. I loved it. That was probably my favorite part about doing the book, actually, was, I mean, you'll have to listen to it, so it could be questionable whether it's good or bad, but it allowed me to emphasize and really put the emotion into the book, because I feel like we can change the trajectory of how we age. And I feel like a lot of this stuff is BS, and people repeat things over and over again. And when they hear it, they believe it to be true, but repetition doesn't make something accurate. Repetition doesn't define accuracy. Accuracy is accurate.
I love that. It's your opinion doesn't change facts. It's at the bottom of the line. Is this something, because I know this is one thing, is I love Jordan Peterson, and I listen to his podcasts, and I listen to his books, audio books, and I'm like, man, he's using some words I have no idea. Is this a book that somebody that is not educated in the health and fitness world, they work all day, they're not exercising, could they understand this book? Is it broken down for the layman's person?
Yes, that's why it took 2 years to write, because I took a lot of complex ideas and I kept distilling it down. So it's like a fifth grader could read it. It is very, very user-friendly, and I did that on purpose. And we will have a course. We put together a course for physicians and health coaches and healthcare providers that are more advanced. But this book is for someone who knows nothing about nutrition, someone who just wants to be better, and it's accessible.
Real quick, before I go to my next question, is this something they can get on? They're asking, like Spotify. Where else could they get this?
Amazon. And actually, once we hit 1,000 reviews, my team is picking 2 people, and I'm going to do private one-on-one consulting for 2 of the reviewers.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That's great. That's a great opportunity.
You guys better jump on this. I'm telling you, man, you need this. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're slightly new parents, I could say, right?
Yeah,
in a sense.
Just like that, Gabrielle.
and
New
one thing.
I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. Yeah.
So was it at almost the same time? Huh?
Yeah. When is Titan's birthday?
Not until March.
March.
It's 4.5 right now. It looks like it's 9.
So my daughter is August.
Okay. So
Okay, right there. Right
Titan is
there.
a
I
few
love
months
that.
older.
So that being said, is this something good for a parent to get to start learning about how they're going to feed their kids? I know our kid is 4. We kind of understand how to feed them at that age. But I mean, like those teenagers and heading off to college, I am lucky that in my life, I got to understand nutrition very young.
Yes.
And so I really maximized puberty to the fullest potential. And I know that people think, well, I'm born, I'll get to a certain height, that's guaranteed. There's no problem with that. And unfortunately, that's not the truth. Your guaranteed height is still off of nutrition at a young age.
Right. That's right.
And so is those parents out there listening to this, let's say they don't, I'm done. I've done my time, I'm over it. But what about teaching their kids about this?
Yeah, it's critical, actually. And also the book covers training in children.
Oh,
And it
wow.
talks about what children should be doing for training, and it breaks down the myths and the scientific recommendations of structured activity and structured training. Children are not too young to train. Even my 2.5-year-old. I'm not saying that he should be doing 1 repetition max deadlift, but he should be lifting. As soon as he's curious about it, he should be exercising.
All right, go get Titan off his single on the squat right now, 225.
But I think that, listen, we talk all about how, there is a large push for people to say, oh, as soon as you let your kid train, people have something to say.
That's such an old school myth.
Yeah, but
you've already debunked it. It's like, oh no, if he trains, he'll stunt his growth. He'll be 3 feet for the rest of his life. It's like, okay,
it's crazy that
it's technically not how it works.
Yeah. And not only that, they talk about, people, I guarantee you, any parent that lets their kid train at a young age, some parent is going to say something.
Yeah.
But the kids are eating potato chips and Twinkies and fried whatever. No one has anything to say about that.
It goes back to the point again, the people that are not actually not living in it, have everything to say and every opinion in the world, and their beliefs are true, where the people that are actually, I love this, having their kids eat a healthy, balanced meals, grow through this incredible growing period. Just again, guys, a recommendation. I did not know it had an additional part in there for that, and I think that is brilliant. No wonder it took 2 years to get, you're covering every aspect of this.
Yeah. And again, this is a great baseline foundation for anyone who's joining us. I'm looking at the part for kids, but it's really important, to maximize potential. One of the things that kids need growing up, they need iron. You can't give them not high quality food. And it's just critical. So yes, talks about children. It also talks about, there's another interesting aspect of this is it does have a mindset component, because again, I've been seeing patients since 2006. You learn a lot about the best in the world, all have very similar patterns. Those individuals that are at the top of their game and really do something exceptional all have similar behaviors and patterns. And I think that that's important to highlight for people.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, for all those women out there, the girls, because I almost feel like women need to train with weight more than guys. I don't know why I always felt like that, just because our body fat is so different, right? And yesterday, somebody stopped me on the street and said, hey, you look like you're a trainer. I said, no, I'm not a trainer. I said, oh, okay, well, you're working out. How can I get rid of this? And she wiggled her, the part that all women complain. And I was like, why don't you just go get the Forever Strong book? You would learn so much about it, because it's too much to explain. It's not a magic pill. You can't just start working on your tricep, do exercises so you could get that part.
Hold on. You can't spot reduce?
No.
It's like, I just wanted to bring down my ankle size.
This big puzzle that you have to put together. You just put together a piece. Like, you're missing so many parts. It's mind blowing. So you have to get all the little puzzles so you could put it together.
Yeah.
The little parts to put the puzzle together. So
it is. And you go into any weight room and it's mostly the guys are in the weights and the women are doing cardio, because they have all these myths. They think that they're going to look bulky, or they think that they're going to look like a guy, or you name it. I personally think that actually that stems out of discomfort and not a real belief. I don't believe that women really think that they're going to get bulky, because to me, that's a distraction. I think about how much effort and time it actually takes.
I know.
That's interesting, because the point here is like, most guys that train can't get muscle and bulky, but the women they're all saying, oh, I'm going to get the, it's like, trust me, 90% of the guys that go train don't look good.
Like,
they don't get bulky.
I don't want to get too big. You know what Arnold said? Don't worry, you never will.
You never will.
It's like,
I agree.
It's so much work and dedication and consistency and everything.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about this book is written for everybody. And I think that an important point is muscle is metabolic currency. It is the only currency that you cannot buy, you cannot trade, you cannot bargain for. It is currency that has to be earned. And the person you become by going through the process of earning that currency, you never regret. So you get physiologically stronger, but you also get mentally stronger.
I got a question for you on when it comes to, I don't know what you would call them, the cult mentality about, hey, this is the best way to diet. And then they'll put a title over it, whatever it is, a keto diet or some other kind of diet. Do you go into the different realms of that kind of cult following, or do you stay on, do you debunk anything like that, I guess you would say?
I don't address the keto diet, at least not in this one.
I don't mean to offend anybody, but it's not keto itself. That's just a metaphor for everybody's like, I'm a vegan, I'm this, I'm that.
I do address kind of the cultish mentality of nutrition and where it came from and parts of it, that how it began and what we're seeing, and how it seems as if that the conversation has always been very much a dogmatic conversation. Absolutely. Do you know, there's a guy named Sylvester Graham. Sylvester Graham became very good friends with someone named John Kellogg. Sylvester Graham believed that a person should not eat meat, not drink alcohol, not have sex, that they should eat very plainly to become a moral person. John Kellogg really bought into this, and he made granola and the graham cracker.
Okay. There's a little history for you. Continue forward.
For that reason. But anyway, the guy died at like 55, and so that kind of, but he was somewhat of this grandfather of veganism or vegetarianism, but he ended up dying pretty early, so that kind of was laid to rest for a period of time. But it didn't stop this continued conversation.
Yeah, it seems as though, I mean, we've been here long enough to see a lot of gurus continue to preach about something when it comes to nutrition and the way to live, and then suddenly they die of a heart attack at a young age, and you're like, okay, I don't want to, then go back to that whole point. Well, then your whole cult following is off of that. It's a tough thing to separate the beliefs of something for how the body actually functions. Because I even remember, we go back, what was the movie years ago about the vegan diets? And they go, well, this is how the gladiators ate. This. It's like, well, wait a minute. It was well done. The movie was well done. But you missed a lot of facts through the whole thing. It's tough for a person to separate that. So for you guys at home that are going here, this is a good read. This is a good read just to open up your mind and maybe teach you a little bit about how just the basic products work in your body.
Yeah. I also talk more as well about skeletal muscle as this organ system, above and beyond, looking jacked and having big muscle. Really, it's an endocrine organ. So when you contract skeletal muscle, depending on the duration and intensity, it is a endocrine organ that releases hormone-like substances. It releases these myokines, these molecules that go throughout the body that affect the brain, affect the bone, affect liver. It does things that require movement. So for example, we've all heard about BDNF, or if you haven't, it's brain-derived neurotropic factor. Just simply stated, it helps with neurogenesis. It helps with the health and the generation of neurons just from exercising skeletal muscle. So you can imagine that you can have skeletal muscle that's not exercised. And if you are not exercising, you are not pumping these myokines into the body. They interface with the immune system. They combat low-grade inflammation. Contracting skeletal muscle releases glutamine. Glutamine feeds white blood cells for immune health. I mean, the list goes on and on.
I love that. I don't know if you have this in here or not, and if you do, that'd be great. Do you talk about, because you talk about how proteins and carbs and fats, how they work in the body, what you should do, and then you give them an outline on things that they should do. Do you also talk about foods themselves?
I do.
Oh, no way. No way. How'd you get that? Is that?
I actually, this is what we created. So we created a fiber carbohydrate ratio chart that is, I mean, this book took a lot of time, as you can imagine. Yes. So very specific foods, pick and choose, ways in which you can pick them and how to rate them.
I love that.
Yeah. And also I talk about blood markers. For example, a baseline assessment, where your triglycerides are, where's your insulin, where's your hemoglobin A1C, where's your fasting glucose. I talk all about it. So people that get blood work done, they can compare it to what the goals are.
And how to correct them if their goals are off, and what foods to use to get you to that level. That's second notch. I love that you covered that as well.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. Like I never, it's, so how many pages is that book?
400. It was 6 and they made me cut out 200 pages.
I was going to say, and you said you cut back on a few, but listen, I think that, do we have any questions there? I'd love to see what people have to say out there.
So you can't see it, but these are all charts for food choices.
She got it all covered. She got nutrition, training. She got the health, the blood markers.
Yeah, she's got everything.
I'm sure you have supplementation in there. You have everything. I mean, it's absolutely covering everything. So if you guys really want to get to the next level, Forever Strong.
And again, you were talking about if the people go in there and they start getting the responses back, they could possibly win a sit down conversation with you to kind of help them out.
2 people, not one, but 2 people.
2
Can
people.
you explain that one more time?
Yeah.
The first we're doing it. It will be a remote consult, but the first 1,000 people, once we get 1,000 reviews, the team is going to go in and pick 2, and 2 people are going to get. They're going to win an hour with me.
Wow.
I love that.
Amazing. So we have a lot of people, no questions, but like Joseph Wilson, he's a men's physique competitor. He keeps jumping on here talking about that you actually motivated him to compete, and he's loving your podcast, like he's been following.
But I think he also competed and won a natural bodybuilding show, listening from the experience that she's teaching.
It's amazing.
So I
Joseph,
absolutely love that.
I mean, thank you so much. And we have people that now they're like, I really want to buy this book. You should buy the book. Let me tell you why. Because you have everything that you need to get to the next level. And you get a hard copy. I'm sure we have a link up there. And you could also get an audio, which Mike will be on that audio on his cardio.
She loves that. She likes that little poke right there, right? Hey, I appreciate you taking time today. And I know you got so much going on.
I love you guys. I appreciate you. I miss you too. I miss you guys so much. I mean, so nobody knows this, but I've betrothed our children.
Yeah,
my daughter.
They're locked in.
They're locked in. I mean, listen, it's worked for people before. We have an arranged marriage,
right?
Oh,
and the DNA those 2 will create.
They're 4 years old.
Everybody else is picking their gender, so we're picking the wives and husbands already.
So awesome.
Pretty funny.
Yeah.
We love you, kid, and congrats again on the book.
Thank you.
The world needs it more than anything else. I dear friend, but the world needs this stuff, and it is just one of those things for me. If you're like, well, I don't want to get in shape. Do you want to learn? At the end of the day, this is teaching you something, so at least you have more knowledge, and so you can have that discussion with yourself on how you can be a better person, healthier person, and live a longer life. Because at one point in your life, everybody that's on here is going to go, I wish I took care of my health a little bit better. And this is a vessel to get you to that. So take note. We'll put down all the links for you guys to order this book. And again, go follow Dr. Gabrielle.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for bringing light to the end of the tunnel here. A lot of people are in the tunnel, and Forever Strong is the light. So thank you.
I love you guys so much.
Yeah, we'll see you. I think in a couple of weeks, hopefully. I don't know. But when you come this way, make sure that you're coming to see us.
Always.
Love you, kid.
I love you guys.
We love you. Thanks.
Talk soon.
Amazing.
She's
not only beautiful, strong, but smart. Brains. Come on.
And she was in the trenches. So when I met her, she was competing. She was training.
You knew me.
Yeah,
way before, like
a decade
years.
before.
Yeah.
And so the point here too is at the end of the day, guys. I know this was the Michael Hearn show on Generation Iron, but it is really the Mona Mirison show. And we're going to bring you some more of these strong women that are out there making things happen. It's a great tool. Again, sit down, learn, or get the audio book, listen to it. I like the fact that you guys are going to really learn on how the body uses protein and why it needs protein and why it needs carbohydrates and what are the benefits and why does it need fat. All these breakdowns.
She
and
touched
also
on the blood markers. That's crazy.
I love that she went into that too.
I never thought she'll have that in the book. That's mind blowing. It really is.
I just like the fact too that an average Joe could be able to read it and understand that's what the blood markers mean. That's what this means.
Yeah.
That's what, and at the end of the day, you guys learning how to can do this.
And for all the parents out there, please read the book. Please teach your kids to start now.
Steve Siegel. Let's send him one. Let's just send Steve one because
I
know he's not feeding his kids right.
We need the kids to have that mental approach, as they grow up, of how to stay healthy, what keeps them strong. We need them to learn that.
We need a next strong generation coming up here. So again, thank you for hanging out today. Sorry we didn't get to a lot of questions today, but I love the fact that you guys are excited. And again, this is a great Christmas gift. A gift to your trainer if you have one, or a friend that may be struggling with understanding how nutrition works. And again, I know that for I don't know what reason that it has become somewhat of a cult on their beliefs on, hey, I diet like this, and that's it. Like they say, any diet works for a period of time, but we want you to at least understand how all foods work at the end of the day. And then you can make your decisions on how you want to eat. Good?
Great.
We're good. We're
good.
Thank
you for joining us today.
I'm opposing you, Mo. This might not be your show. Whoever has bigger guns. Hey, guys, thanks for hanging out here on the Generation Show, Michael Hearn Show on Generation Iron. Enjoy the day.